Hey YouTube, welcome to the third part in my mini-series, Becoming a Faster Rider. Today, we're going to be riding with FX. I already told him I was going to be coming for him, and I wanted to push the pace a bit. We're going to be taking some of the previous principles that we discussed in the earlier videos, and we're going to apply them into becoming a better, more fluid, faster rider. Or at least try to. I really wanted to focus on certain riding techniques, maintaining that ever crucial attack position, standing up as much as possible, controlling the bike with my knees pinched against the gas tank as opposed to just relying on my arms throughout the day. Being smooth on my throttle control and clutch control will be everything as well. If I'm going too fast, in a turn or out of a turn, I could overshoot the turn, I could undertake the turn. Even going downhill, if you're not going fast enough, you're likely to stumble over small obstacles that normally you would have just rode right over. And going up a hill, well, we all know how that goes. If you have too much traction, sometimes the bike will kick you off if you're going too hard on it. And if you don't have enough traction, then you'll just stall on the hill. It's all about being smooth. I'm not used to riding more open terrain. If you look at a lot of my other videos, it's really tight, technical stuff. I've learned to ride slow. And if you can ride slow, they say you can ride fast. But there's some things about riding fast you have to learn as well. So let's catch up with FX and see how the rest of the day goes. Fast doesn't just mean open areas. Fast can also be in the tight or technical. This trail isn't very technical, but it can be a little tight. There's some trees that can throw you off on your game, and some turns that, if you're not careful with your throttle or braking, you could really overshoot or even undershoot. I don't want my arms to tire, so I'm squeezing the bike with my thighs and my knees. Not as hard as I can, but just enough that I can move the bike in the turns with my body weight alone, and my arms are pretty much just stabilizing the front end and controlling the clutch and the throttle. Grabbing throttle is awesome, great feeling. However, sometimes it could get you really hurt, and you got to be careful. Once again, being fluid in your riding, looking far ahead will make you a much more fluid rider, and it will pay off in huge dividends as you're less likely to hit an obstacle and hurt yourself. Looking ahead allows you to adjust your throttle, whether you have too much, not enough, or you see a weird incline hill coming and you know you're going to have to tractor just the right amount because of all the leaves that are there, or maybe hidden obstacles. Grabbing the right amount of throttle can also let your squid buddies know that even for a Gumby like yourself, the pace is a little too slow. Throttle and RPM range has a lot to do with your gearing and where you are in it. Having the right gear at the right moment with the right amount of clutch control can drastically change how your bike handles and how fast it comes out of a turn or even into a turn. I try staying vigilantly aware of where I am in my power band and where I am in my gearing. I always keep one finger on the clutch. That way if I approach an obstacle I wasn't aware of, I can get over it. A long time ago, I saw a video by Megs Brap on YouTube. Check out her channel. And she specifically says, try staying in a higher gear. And in my opinion, she's absolutely right. Staying in a higher gear allows the bike to kind of move more freely. And two-strokes have an immense amount of torque, especially at the lower end range. And if you need to, you'll then be able to attain your power band without having to worry about downshifting to maybe get over an obstacle or move freely through an inhibited area. I try to keep my front light most of the time. I try keeping most of my traction, power, and weight distributed to the rear of the bike. If you're standing up in the attack position, it actually evens out your weight across the suspension, but not completely even. From my understanding, most of the weight will actually go to the rear tire. And the reason is you want that front tire to kind of bob and skip along. And if you do this correctly, it will almost roll over anything, truly anything. And if you have the correct amount of power, your bike will wheelie and roll up just about anything. I know it's easier said than done, but have confidence in your bike and have confidence in your fundamentals. When I see people make mistakes, a lot of the times is because they're scared and they're apprehensive. The truth is, if they just had confidence, they would knock it out of the park. And honestly, 6 months ago, that log I just crossed in the video would have really scared me. But now, I'm actually not even really thinking about the log. I'm more worried about my technique. I want to approach the log correctly. I don't want to overshoot it because there's an obstacle directly in front of it. But I know if I give it the proper technique with the proper amount of power and clutch control, my bike will absolutely make it over that log. Sometimes going slow is going fast. There's nothing like making a dumb mistake because you're trying to hurry through an obstacle. An old school dirt bike rider recently told me that no one action will win you the race, but one terrible action can cost you the race. Although I don't race, I want to when I think I'm good enough, and I think about that wise man's words a lot when I ride. I think what it boils down to is being consistent, and that kind of goes back into being fluid. If you're not being consistent, you're not being fluid. And consistent is hitting that same exact golf shot over and over and over, and the ball landing the same way. In dirt biking, it's knowing exactly where your clutch prime location is, so you have that perfect amount of traction. Knowing exactly what gear to be in, around what turn or what straightaway. Knowing how your bike feels when it's going down something that is not very smooth, or up a hill that maybe is a little steep, or off camber. Knowing how your weight is on your bike. It's that consistency, and being consistent and smooth, in my opinion and from what I've learned, will make you a fast rider. I had a great time recording these videos with FX, Aaron, Gary, and honestly, I'm very fortunate with a lot of the people I get to ride with. People I haven't even mentioned in my videos yet, I probably will later on. I have a good resource, I belong to a good club. If you are a rider and you want to become better, I really encourage you to join a local club. You'll encounter people of all different skill levels, people that may be excellent at one thing and maybe not so excellent at another thing, but more importantly, there'll be a wealth of information for you to have as a resource. 1 year, 8 months ago, I bought my first bike ever, and I was riding by myself for about a month and a half till I happened to meet a person on a dirt road that invited me to a club meeting. I took the opportunity, I got to meet people, and most importantly, better riders than myself, I mean way better riders than myself, took the time to have me come out in trails and teach me a thing or two. I am eternally grateful for those people. It honestly helped me learn so much faster, and I am where I am because of those people. So for all you great riders, excellent riders out there, remember, please take the time to do that. It really can change someone's entire riding experience. I almost gave up the sport at one time because I just thought I couldn't do it. And here I am, almost 2 years later, absolutely loving the sport. So anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.